Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 3 of Live. I want to thank so many of you all for continuing to support us on our journey. And if you are looking to be a sponsor, you can go to our website at www.iamcara-mel.com/live-tv-show. And that's at the bottom of the screen right now. Many have been asking, and I so much appreciate the support as we continue to expand and grow. It's just a wonderful thing. Today is all about episode 1 as we bring in this new season. I have an exclusive interview that you all will be viewing with inspirational pop artist David Lampman. I met David basically a year ago back at the Scream tour, Scream Objective Sessions in Nashville, Tennessee. Ever since, we've been vibing very well, and he's been doing some amazing things within his community and beyond. So stay tuned. Don't forget, get that popcorn and that tea and all that good stuff. You gotta live. You gotta live. You gotta. Yo, my latter years, my greatest years. Shed a few tears, sacrifice, walking my purpose and calling, have no fear. New you, new male, chosen by the Most High. No weapon formed against us can dim our lives. Yes, gotta live for the promised land. Live to see another day. Yeah, you gotta take a stand. Show up, show out, voice to the people. Live to be the best version of self. You gotta live.
As a troubled youth, I'd spend most of my days here at Jumpin' Java. I would skateboard, play my guitar, make out with chicks, get in fights, and eventually was arrested for disorderly conduct and banned from the property. I walked in illegally one day on a Bible study. They were talking about the Apostle Paul's conversion. The pastor asked if I would meet with him the next week, and I said I wasn't even allowed to be there. After getting permission from the judge, I met with him for 3 years, during which I surrendered my life to Christ, became close friends with the owner, and even was allowed to set up a stage in the courtyard and perform annually for the Coast Guard Festival.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, Live family? I am your girl, Cara-Mel, hosting, and we got an amazing show today. We have the one, the only David Lampman. Oh my gosh. How you doing, sir? How you doing? Oh, yeah.
Better than I deserve. Better than I deserve. Better than I deserve. That's right.
Hey, how you been?
I've been good. I haven't seen you in this capacity since Nashville.
I know, right? Just a little bit of background to the Live family. So me and David met at the Objective Sessions back in Nashville, Tennessee, back in May of 2022. He was one of the bright faces I met that just welcomed me, and I felt immediately at home. But so David is an inspirational artist. Can you tell the Live family exactly where you're from and what genre is you would kind of place or categorize your music?
Yeah, so I am from West Michigan. I've lived here my whole life, and I still kind of ride under the pop genre. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And so when did you know that music was your calling, or when did music hit that music bug hit you?
Well, music was a lot of other things before it was my calling, my friend. Music was something that got me dancing. I remember I was alive when the first Backstreet Boys album came out, so I was dancing to that thing, holding the microphone or it was a remote control. It wasn't a microphone. Yeah. So I was trying to be all Nick Carter. And then as I grew older, I was a drummer in a punk band, so music was a therapy for me. It was helping me to get off a lot of medications, to vent all my anger from high school. And that was my ticket into the music scene. I have a band, we have shirts, we're showing up in these sometimes bars that we're not supposed to be in because we're high schoolers, and we're playing these punk shows and people are mosh pitting, and it was just the culture. I really loved the culture. In my adulthood, music became a weapon. So I was the only thing I knew about my real dad was that he was a musician. And because he wasn't there for me, I was like, well, I'm going to use his last name and I'm going to be better than he ever was.
Mm-hmm.
So it was causing me to move. It was a therapy, then it was a weapon, and then it was a calling as soon as I, no, even when I surrendered music to the Lord, like I felt pressure to use Christianese and like write all this stuff because I was a new Christian. I'm like, well, how can I be a Christian artist? And so today I found a healthy balance. And so I think as soon as I connected with people, that's when I knew it was my ministry. When something I wrote caused someone to pull me aside and tell me a struggle that it got them through, that was the moment. I didn't understand the word calling, but now that I do, that was the moment. So
it definitely takes us a time. I feel like, you know, when life itself, you know, we go through different twists and turns, and I feel like you can be stagnant for so long, and you have to figure out what you're calling. We're all put on this earth for something, you know. Some of us, you know, still are trying to figure out what that particular purpose is. So that goes to my question. You mentioned like when you transition over to the Christian realm, or trying to have a balance of inspirational music. What event actually made you rededicate your life to Christ? I come with the questions.
For me, it was separate. We had 666 on our guitars, so I was in a worldly punk band. I didn't accept Christ till I was 21.
Okay.
And, you know, dancing to the Backstreet Boys at 6 years old, drumming in a punk band at 15, doing open mic nights at 18, not even a Christian, just going and playing in bars and making it a name for myself. David Lampman. Mm-hmm. CDs on the coffee shop counters. How many girls can I get, like, going from blanket to blanket on the beach and with my guitar? And what happened was, well, do you want to know when I decided to do Christian music or when I decided to give my life to the Lord?
Giving life to the Lord, and that's the main thing. A little bit of the testimony, and it's fine.
Okay.
Whatever you want to share.
Yeah. So I share the story. I'm so excited about this story. So I was a jailbird. I was in trouble a lot with the law. I had 34 points on my license before I was 21. I went 9 years without driving. But like at 21, I got a DUI, and I was just an angry person.
So what was the event that basically in a nutshell made you rededicate, or what event basically where you found like, hey, I have to change my life, and you found Christ?
Yeah, so I heard that my girlfriend kissed some dude, and this was 2007. So I heard he was at this coffee shop called Jumpin' Java, and I went down there. I was this angry surfer dude with like long blonde hair, and I saw him, and I didn't go down there for anything but to just explode. Yeah. And so I pushed him up against the window of this coffee house, and I was arrested and had a personal protection order placed against me by his parents. And I was arrested for assault and battery on a minor and thrown in jail. So I was banned from the property indefinitely, which ended up being about 3 years. One of the times I went into the coffee house illegally, I walked in and there were a group of guys from a Baptist church talking about the Apostle Paul and the story about how he was going to Damascus to wreak havoc or possibly murder a family for following, they called it the way back then, following Jesus. He got knocked off his horse, and this big bright light, blinded him, and he heard Jesus saying, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" And I was standing there in this corner of the coffee house, like, thinking, like, I've never murdered anybody, but I wonder if God can still use me. I mean, I'd been diagnosed with mental illness. I'd been homeless. I'd been abandoned. I'd been addicted. I'd been thrown in jail. And, I was going on, this was half of 10 years without any family in Michigan. So I was given up on. And I hear this story, and there was this longing inside of me, like, God, could you use me? Could there be something more to my life? And the pastor, his name was Pastor Mark Green, asked me if I wanted to meet with him the next week over the Bible at that coffee house. And I told him, I was honest. I said, I'm actually not supposed to be here. I'll get arrested if they find out I'm here. And he's like, well, let's pray about that. So sure enough, we prayed about that. And I went home, and the next week I ran into Judge Richard Clute on the sidewalk. And I'd never seen this guy anywhere but in the courtroom.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, like, I haven't been arrested in a long time. And I'm wondering if you'll let me go back to Jumpin' Java where I was arrested, because I want to meet with I can't believe I used this word, but I was like, I want to meet with my pastor. Because I kind of identified as an atheist, but that's not theologically accurate, because I just couldn't believe in anybody who would allow me to go through all of that suffering in my life up until that point. But he granted me permission. He processed the paperwork, and I was able to go back to that coffee house. And I met with that pastor every week for 3 years over the NIV. Or no, the ESV. We did the ESV. Okay. And I learned all of these things and about the God who came in to save me. And, I had a lot of trust issues. I had, Jehovah's Witnesses as a child, and all of these false religions I would believe, and no dad in the home. So, like, what's this older male want? What is he? Is he trying to, like, get my money or make me dress up and go to his church? And I said one day, I was like, what do you want with me? And he's like, I just want to do for you what Jesus did for me. And had he not already modeled that out in my life, when I opened up the scriptures and saw Jesus, I saw a parallel between the way Jesus lived his life and the way that this Pastor Mark Green lived his life. I would cancel on him because I was super hungover, and he would be like, oh, let's meet next week. I would get locked up again, and they would visit me from the church. And he was the executive director of a nonprofit that, I helped them open up a homeless shelter, and they were like the biggest ministry outlet in the town. So I always had a serving opportunity alongside him. And it just seemed strange to me because he was married, he had a family, he was the associate pastor of a Baptist church and the executive director of Love Inc. And I was like, what does he want, right? So also, the owner of that coffee house came out and saw me meeting with him. And she said, David, my name's Doris. I've been praying for you the whole time you were stealing out of my refrigerator. I've been praying for you the whole time you were breaking things in my courtyard and busking for people's money and, making out with girls and things. And I've been praying that God would know how loved you, or that you would know how much God loves you. And I just broke down crying. She says, you're in the hands of a good man, David. So I met with Mark, I think, for a year and a half before I accepted his invite to go to church. And, that was huge for me because I had trust issues. Anybody else, I think, would have just been like, they're not going to buy me coffee. But to pay for a year and a half of coffee for me, even though I didn't want to go into the building, dope. So cool. So I said the prayer there in Jumpin' Java, and I accepted Christ, and I ended up getting baptized in 2009, and it was awesome.
Nice. Oh my gosh. That's one thing that I enjoy, hearing people's stories on how they come to found the Lord. And another great one. I think it's great that people can share their testimony because it'll help someone else. You don't know who your story might resonate with. And thank you for sharing that with the LYV family. So, all right, let's get to the music talk. Stay Gold is the brand new single. Okay. What is the concept? He got the t-shirt, y'all. He got the t-shirt. Hold on, where my t-shirt? Y'all be coming up here with t-shirts. But Stay Gold. What is the concept? What is the story behind it? And give the LYV family a little bit of little 411 on it.
Okay. Wow. So Stay Gold is about sexual purity. It's not an area of my life that I've been perfect in. But years ago, like before I decided to do Christian music, I wrote a song called Honey Drops.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a general idea, a general way to escape depression. And a girl had said, like, your song stopped me from cutting myself. God was trying to warn me back then that words carry weight. But I still kept trying to be Justin Timberlake and writing about the coolest things and making myself look all great. There was a huge disconnect. When I finally decided to do Christian music, I didn't go all the way in. I said, God, music, like Christian music is so boring. Like, I don't want to. He's like, just start with what's going on right now in your heart. And so apparently it was okay that Walk Anyway was good enough. It was like just writing about what the struggle was. And so I learned, one of the questions he asked me was, how does it feel, David, to sing about the same ex-girlfriend every single night at the bars? Like, that was 10 years ago. Like, that was 8 years ago. Like, I'm like, it feels just the way it did when she broke up with me. Because I wrote it descriptively. I wrote it in just the way, like, just how I wanted to remember it. And so I put myself back in that moment. So I developed this understanding that, what am I trying to say? Basically, I wanted to write what was current. And so if I'm up there and I'm singing about the old pain, I'm going to bring back the old pain. So I wanted to give people a way out by the end of my song. If I was going to mention my pain, I wanted there to be a resolve towards the end and not leave them feeling down in the dumps. So I've had people ask me to write music for them. That's not something I like to do because I feel it's got to be something that's me.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've struggled with was sexual purity over the years. And I figure if I'm going to sing something over and over and over again, it needs to be something I believe.
Yeah. And
so on Christmas Eve, I have a lot of songs that I'm trying to get out. I've got a lot of songs and this one skipped 6 other songs plus like 5 other acoustic ones. This one just on Christmas Eve, I've been watching another artist of the opposite sex was doing a devotional, and I'm like, well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about her sexual purity struggle, and I was like, that's really awesome. I don't know if this is a space for me. I'm not going to really engage because she's got all, female friends and stuff, but I learned about it, and learning about that from a female really made me, at first it made me intimidated, but then it made me want to be a kingdom man even more. And there's so much need for this for men. And so I was like, where's this person for the guys? Like, where's this person that's coming out and being vulnerable and talking about their struggle? And this could possibly be there could be momentum. Someone, I could share a struggle and someone else can come out and say they share it too. So I wanted to come out with a song and start a big conversation, and then be able to give younger guys some resources and some inspiration and some stories of like the way that God has carried me through the struggle.
No, that's good. No, it's interesting that you mentioned, and the concept of the song is much needed. You're right. A lot of people struggle, with sexuality and the purity of it all, because God created it for marriage, and it's hard. I have friends and people that I know that are choosing to be celibate, abstinence, but they don't know what that looks like in, say, a dating scene, so I think the song does bring like a lot of it starts the conversation, which actually I would like to invite you to my podcast, because we're going to do like a panel to talk about that, my sister-in-law and I as well, and I would love to get like a male's perspective. I'm going to have like a round table. It's going to be like on a Zoom, but I would love for you to kind of chime in, And
do I have to be sitting at a round table in my apartment?
No.
Or can I? Okay.
There you go. You got jokes. No. But no, it's much needed, and I think it's good because a lot of men they're quiet about it, and I know it's hard. Some say it's harder for men than women, but it's much needed conversation. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's something that I'm actually putting together to talk about that as well. Just something to help date people who are dating and so forth, and courting, the process of that. So I ain't gonna say too much because this is gonna be a TV, but when it comes out, it'll
Yeah.
But
I want to share a little about the process too, the inspiration behind the sound.
Okay.
Right. Like I just have my Yamaha HS8s, which isn't just right. I got these for free, and these are like $800 speakers. Okay. So I had all of this gear, but I didn't have my Logic Pro, which I had been learning. And I was like, I had the music and I wanted to start writing to it. So it started with the music. I was watching the documentary of Motown. Okay. And I was relearning a lot of stuff. Yeah. But I was learning, and all my stuff had been going like pop, like Timberlake, like Timberland. Like I'm trying to get back to the sound that I had before I was a Christian artist, so that I can connect with who I want to connect with. Yeah. And this was my attempt at R&B. Okay. And I started learning about Gladys Knight and the Pips. Yeah. And I started learning about the Temptations and all of this stuff. And I'm like, this is 2 hours from my house that all of this was happening.
I was like, gonna say you're in Michigan.
Yeah, and then obviously I knew Michael Jackson, did a lot of time there. But it was Smokey Robinson and this guy named Gordy Berry that was sharing their story. Gordy Berry said that he worked for Ford Motors and he was working on an assembly line, and he started watching these cars be put together step by step, and he said, I want to treat people like that. Yeah. So he wanted to put people through an assembly line, A&R, teaching them how to sing, teaching them how to dance, and then you get something like Michael Jackson where they just do everything. And I was already obsessed with, I was going through this I did the Rihanna phase a while ago, but I was going through this Aaliyah phase, and then I'm like, what? Aaliyah is Gladys Pips' niece? Like, I'm like, no way. But anyways, he was talking about the reverb in some of their songs that people really wanted, and they were laughing, saying it was coming from their bathroom wall. And I was like, I got this little apartment. I'm so inspired right now. I've been listening to all these great songs all over again. I want to try to harness this inspiration and get it into a song. So that's what I did. Nice.
So that was my next question. So do you do your own production for all your songs mostly, or?
Nope. So I have like 3 CDs that I produced on my own. When I stopped doing acoustic based music, I realized that I have an idea of a song and it comes and goes so quickly. In order to keep the music that's out there current with what I'm going through or what I want to talk about, I have to make the process quicker. So what I do is I go to YouTube and I'll type like Timberlake type beat or Aaliyah type beat or Weekend type beat, and I'll find something and I'll write to it. And if it's something that I feel like I can sell or want to make content out of, I will go ahead and buy the exclusive rights for that music. Now for Stay Gold, it was interesting because I purchased all the stems.
Stay tuned for my exclusive interview with David Lampman for part 2 as he continued to talk about his testimony and his upcoming single Feelings, which released on June 9th. All right, till next time.
Shelters me deep inside. All I can do.
First chord? The third. Oh, play it again. So first chord.
Well, that's all we have for today, y'all. And you know how it is. We're going to keep it going, closing with thoughts of reflection. And today I want to talk about burdens. And we're going to turn to Matthew 11:28. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. In today's society, we all suffer or experience stress at times. There's, life is life. This game of life can be hard, and sometimes we go through a lot of trials and tribulations. I've had my share. But there are definitely different tools you can use and things. And I want to share 3 things that has helped me along the way to help me kind of deal with certain things. One, I always start my day off correctly, trying to do some prayer, devotional, and positive affirmations. I believe the way you wake up in the morning is how you start your day. That will be the forefront or your set of how your day is going to go and reflect as you move forward in your walk during that daily time frame. My second thing is what I like to do is set 30 to 60 minutes a day. I know, because I used to be that type of person, it's no way I'll have that time, I'm too busy. You know what? You have to make time for yourself, or your body will basically sit you down. So even if you have to split it up, it could be 15 minutes of just you chilling out, and then another 15 minutes of you chilling out, equaling a total of 30 minutes to yourself. That's a plus, that's a given, that's something. So I would advise that. And thirdly, one thing I would say that you must do, and I did not do this for years, and I'm just starting to do this, y'all, is at least once a month, pamper yourself or do something, maybe something off your bucket list that that's enjoyable to you. Pick one day out that month, or maybe a weekend out that month, and just do something. It doesn't even have to cost a lot of money or anything of that nature. It's just about you having that time and you doing something that is freeing you up away from all the noise to help you get back to reflection so you won't get burnt out. Until then, continue to support, share, come onto our YouTube channel, and we're trying to build that up as well, because there's going to be a lot of different things that's outside of the show that you're not going to see on TV. But again, thank you so much for your continued support. All right, peace. Till next time.